The combination of the new Journey Together set, alongside the rotation of all F regulation cards, has brought quite a few changes to the standard format. The decks at the top might look like the same in terms of archetypes, but the structure of the decks has changed with many key cards rotating in April. We are headed into a super busy schedule of Pokemon with tournaments pretty much every single weekend leading up to NAIC. So if you're watching this video, you very likely are looking to prepare for one of these events. So far, we have had 2 major tournaments take place in Atlanta and Monterey, and both of those showed us who the true top contenders are right now. Gardevoir EX, Dragapult EX in 2 variants, Gholdengo EX, and Raging Bolt EX. All of these decks are extremely powerful and good picks in this metagame, and they are also the benchmark for every deck outside of this 5. You must have a decent matchup against all or most of these if you want to have a chance to succeed. So in this video, we are going to do a quick recap of why these decks are doing so well, what makes them tick, and why you should respect them at your next tournament. Starting off with Gardevoir EX, a deck that many deemed unplayable with a huge loss of Refinement Kirlia, yet the deck won both of the post-rotation major tournaments that have taken place, even if the list was decently different between the two. Henry Chow won his 3rd regional championship of the season by pairing Gardevoir EX with its usual Drifloon and Screamtail partners, as well as unorthodox 1-2 and Zoroark EX line to help support the deck. Brent Tonnisson's winning list was a bit more straightforward with very few techs and reliance on only Cleffa in the beginning, and Fezandipiti EX's flip the script ability in order to help it set up and find the right pieces at the right time. Both of these players are some of the best in the world, so it's no surprise they put Gardevoir EX at the forefront of the metagame, and with Lele's Clefairy EX from the Journey Together set, giving the deck a much needed dedicated answer to Dragapult EX decks, Gardevoir EX is poised to continue its dominance and maintain its place at the top despite being disregarded initially due to the huge loss of Refinement Kirlia as an engine. Turns out, the deck is just fine, acting as a body Monkey Dory deck in the beginning while it slows down the game and sets up, since every other deck also had huge consistency changes as well. Even the loss of Manaphy and the bench protection that came with it has not stopped the deck from performing well. And while we have seen some players try Brilliant Blender to more easily get the Psychic Energy in the discard for Psychic Embrace, after Brent's win, and the presence of Secret Box in other top performing lists as well, I don't think anyone can argue against Secret Box being the top ace pick choice for Gardevoir EX decks. Next up we have Dragapult EX Dusknoir, a deck that was the undisputed number 1 since the release of Budew and prior to rotation, and it's no surprise it has continued its dominance and success into the post-rotation metagame. Being the number 1 most popular deck in both events by a high margin is the first sign that it's a very good deck, but it also has gotten some very good results, including 2nd place in Atlanta by Andrew Hedrick. The combination of the damage counters from Phantom Dive and the ones from Curse Blast is extremely powerful, and with Hawlucha consistently making its way to lists as well, it feels like no Pokemon in play is ever truly safe when playing against Dragapult EX. The deck also boasts the Recon Directive ability from Dracloak, which is very powerful when combined with slowing down an opponent through Budew's Ichi Pollen. Not many decks can get extra resources without a supporting line of a Pokemon with an ability such as Zoroark EX or the Dunsparce, and so this very good stage 1 is another reason why this deck is and will remain at the top for a very long time. Then we have Dragapult EX but without Dusknoir, instead pairing with Monkey Dory and Genesect to help support it. The deck boasts the same consistency and advantages that the Dragapult EX Dusknoir deck offers, but by reducing the amount of space in the list taken up by the Dusknoir line, you have more space for those other nice cards. Monkey Dory is like a pseudo Dusknoir line, since it helps with potential bonus damage counters to combine with Phantom Dive, as well as healing Dragapult EX for whatever else the damage counters are coming from, making the Budew vs Budew duels a bit more interesting and in your favor. The addition of Genesect though helps the deck slow down other decks by blocking their ace spec cards. Gholdengo without Energy Surge Pro, or no on-first stamp in mirror matches, can certainly swing the match in one way or another, so having this in your deck in the space that opens up if you don't have the Dusknoir line helps the deck be disruptive in a different way, with Bloodmender Saloon EX rounding out the deck and providing an alternate option to attack with. The non-Dusknoir Dragapult EX builds have been even more successful so far than their Dusknoir counterparts, and that is why they are considered a separate deck overall. Next we have Gholdengo EX, which just like Dragapult EX was tearing up the format before rotation, and despite losing key components to the deck like Radiant Greninja and Pokestop, it has managed to adapt and still finds itself at the very top with a very decent Dragapult matchup and a very powerful attack that can deal with everything standing in its way. The coin bonus ability allows the deck to recover from even the worst hand disruption cards like On for Stamp, and despite body on paper slowing the deck down and possibly locking it out of high damage potential with its superior energy retrievals becoming unplayable, as long as you are managing your resources correctly, this is usually not a problem for the deck at all. We have seen two variants do very well so far. One is a streamlined Gholdengo EX deck, and the other paired with a thin Dragapult EX line. Not only does Dragcloak and Recon Directive offer even more support in terms of draw power to the deck, but Dragapult EX is a formidable attacker and it also doesn't have an ability, allowing the deck to bypass a potential auto loss to a Cornerstone Ogerpon EX. The straight version did better in Atlanta, but the Dragapult EX version dominated in Monterey. Either way, the end goal is the same: make it rain to take down anything in your path. Finally, rounding out the list is Raging Bolt EX. This deck has been deemed to not have a very high skill ceiling by many, but in reality, rotation taking away key pieces like Radiant Greninja and Pokestop made it so the deck adapted to utilizing the Noctowl engine and Crispin. This in turn has opened up other strategies for the deck to play as a single price deck with aggression from Fan Rotom and the non-EX Raging Bolt, as well as more interesting tech cards like Energy Switch and Counter Catcher. This deck is the only one that hasn't had a top 8 showing yet, but it did get 9th in Monterey, and has consistently been a top 3 popular deck in both events. It is fast, aggressive, and can find ways to apply pressure whether it goes first or second, and an unchecked Raging Bolt tearing apart an opponent's bench with its Thunderburst Storm attack should not be underestimated. I'm very confident the deck has simply not been more successful because most of the game's top players shy away from it for some reason. But there are still a lot of events to go from now until the last one in Bologna for this deck to further prove itself as a top 5 deck not only in numbers but also by results. Sitting right outside of the big 5 decks though are archetypes such as Terrabox, Terrapagos EX Buffaland, Archalon EX variants, Flareon EX Sylveon EX, and maybe even Joltik Iron Hands EX, which are all powerful and can compete amongst the top, but the 5 mentioned in the video are certainly the ones to beat. And so, now you know what the big 5 decks are heading into last stretch of the 2025 Pokemon TCG season before NAIC, and the new Destined Rivals set. Even if you're not going to a major event soon, there's League Cups and League Challenges happening every weekend where you could put these decks to the test, so hopefully this video has helped you prepare for the new evolving metagame. I hope this video has been useful for you, and I wish you the best of luck at your upcoming tournaments. Thanks for watching, and until next time.
¿Eres de México y necesitas cartas de Pokémon? Busca Hyperbeam Cards en Facebook e Instagram. Y si estás en Tijuana, búscalos en el local C27 en el Centro Comercial Otay.